Clay just sent me this one because we're like running a real-time news ticker between the two of us throughout the entire show. Elon Musk has said, there's so much we could fill in there, by the way. Elon Musk has said that if his purchase of Twitter goes through, he will lift the ban on former President Trump. And this is interesting because if that's the case, we would then have a situation where Trump is on Truth Social right now, and Truth Social is, and I don't say this as a knock on them, but Truth Social is at this point less than 1% the users of Twitter. I think is that about right, Clay? I mean, it's maybe it's less than 2 or 3%, but it's a tiny fraction of the overall users. And so, I mean, I'm on Truth, Clay's on Truth. What does the former president do? Because that Twitter account, the Trump Twitter account, was able to shape the news cycle. It was able to change the national conversation. I mean, that really, I think Trump took Twitter from being a news journo and kind of a superficial scroll through platform that some people use to the heart of the news cycle for a lot of people in a lot of ways, because the president of the United States was speaking in real time to 80 million followers. What does he do here, Clay? How does this play out?
I'll tell you, when I was doing sports talk radio, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, in that 6 a.m. hour, everybody else was asleep. You hit the refresh feed on your Twitter feed, and it would be like Donald Trump and me. So he was not only setting the national agenda, Buck, he was doing it early in the morning before a lot of the journalists were even up. And he was tweeting late at night and all throughout the day. I mean, this guy is an animal when it comes to his work ethic. I just think it's a really So first of all, I think it's smart of Elon Musk because it sets the precedent that banning people, especially permanently banning people who are the sitting president of the United States or a potential candidate in 2024 is not a good idea. So I think from Elon Musk's perspective, right decision. More difficult situation. Can Trump join Twitter, or is he contractually obligated to only use Truth Social? That is the number one question I would have, because it's likely that they have given Trump a lot of money for his exclusivity in the social media platform regime there. Second part here, is he actually benefiting from getting his Twitter account back? Now, Buck, I can totally see the benefit when he was a candidate and people were not familiar with what he believed and he didn't have the ability to reach them as easily and he could mobilize them. The people who love Trump are already active on social media, in love with Trump. Right now, Biden is a decrepit old man who is failing on all fronts. And so the story is Biden stinks. As soon as Trump reemerges, the great Satan of the blue check brigade out there, I think that it might work against him. Because in 2024, in an ideal world, you make the case that Biden has been bad and doesn't deserve if Biden's running or the Democrats, they don't deserve to be back in office. It's a referendum on the incumbent. If Trump becomes active again, my concern, Buck, is 2024 is a referendum on Trump again, and Biden gets a pass on how bad he's been. So I don't know that he benefits. Do you think he benefits? Like, how do you analyze this?
It's so hard. Because
if you were the advisor and he came to you and he said, Buck, should I get back on Twitter? Take away, for us, it's obviously great because we can react to tweets. We're in media. But if you are, the goal is to win election.
I'm going to say this, and it hurts me to say it because one, I used to love the occasional Trump retweet was always amazing because all of a sudden some guy that I saw in a sitcom back in 1994 was cursing at me in all caps. I'm like, how does this person follow me on Twitter? Oh, it's because of Trump retweeted it. So that was always fun. I was like, oh, it's the guy from Charles in Charge. He hates me now, or not that show. I'm just making one up, but because I think Scott Baio is actually he's conservative, so
he's actually got a functional brain.
Yeah, he's a good dude from what I understand. Anyway, I'm just picking a random show. I think if we're talking about what the most likely pathway is for Trump, I almost feel like it's too early. I feel like it's too early to even go here, but I will say it anyway. we need a Trump 2.0
Yep.
where there's more focus on results, where there's less focus on people that honestly kiss up a lot and are actually effective. There were some people who were very, I'm just saying we have Steve Miller on the show a lot. One of the reasons why Steve Miller's a smart guy who really knows his stuff and was effective in the White House. I mean, there are others too, but so I'm not one of these people who says, oh, everybody that was in the first administration shouldn't be in the second administration. But you need to have good advisors around him that he would listen to. And this is basically my long preamble for him getting reelected. I don't know if Twitter is actually helpful. I think the media then it feeds into the lib media obsession with Trump the man and the person instead of the movement, and it just becomes, look at this mean thing he said, or look at this, and and now people could argue. By the way, this is one of those things where if someone thinks they hear that, they say, Buck, you're totally wrong. I'll admit I may be totally wrong on this one, but I think Trump, without running his own Twitter account on a daily, maybe if we could limit it. But the thing is, man, once the Trump bear is loose, I don't know if you get him back in the cage, man. Like once he has that Twitter account back, I think he's going to do what he wants to do. And
I actually like the idea of him having Twitter, Buck, if he's reelected, because he's already president. But the actual campaign Twitter, I don't know that he benefits, because I think it allows people to characterize him and start to make the case that 2024 is about Trump, when the reality is, and even 2022, if he came back sooner than that, when the reality is 2022 and 2024 are about Democrats failing on an epic level.
I guess the answer is that I would reverse the perma ban. I would say I don't own Twitter yet, so this is not like a thing that will definitely happen, because what if I don't own Twitter? But my opinion, and Jack Dorsey, I want to be clear, shares this opinion, is that we should not have perma bans.
That's Elon from earlier today. Welcome back to Clay and Buck, saying that he will reverse the Trump ban if he ends up owning Twitter. Remember, that is in process. It's not like he's walking in to buy a new lawnmower, swipes the credit card and it's all done. There's a big process here. There's always the possibility of some federal government regulator trying to step in. Some on the left have even called for that. Some Elizabeth Warren walking around saying, we have to regulate the social media companies. And all of a sudden we have to regulate them, Clay. It's almost like when they don't have whatever they want, then the rules have to change.
Yeah, and we were debating that. I mean, that's Elon Musk, by the way, in London in the last hour or so, discussing the potential return of Trump to Twitter. I don't know. Again, I think this is a huge debate that could play out for some time. And I just put up, by the way, this is a poll question if you want to go vote at Clay Travis. Is Trump coming back to Twitter good or bad for a potential 2024 presidential campaign? My inclination is kind of like yours, Buck, that it would overall be bad. And by the way, let me say this. 1,000 people have voted in the last couple of minutes. You can go vote yourself. It's nearly dead even 50-50. And there are a lot of Trump supporters out there on my Twitter feed. It's not like these are huge Hillary Clinton people rolling in.
This is a tough call. This is one where there's some things, man, a lot of things where I'm like, I'm right, and anybody who disagrees with me is wrong. It's probably 90%, maybe 97% of things. This is one where
that's because you're not married, by the way. That percentage is going to go down a lot.
It goes down
when you
dramatically.
Get married.
That's what I've been told. Yeah.
Yes.
Something to look forward to. But this is one where I'm persuadable either way. I mean, I think you can make a strong case that Trump galvanizes the movement, reaches around goes around the mainstream media, and is able to, bring his message directly to the people, and that's really important and powerful. But then there's also, hashtag Covfefe and people kind of getting distracted by some of the random things that Trump would go off on tangents about. And so, I don't know. I mean, it's great for us if he has the Twitter.
Incredible
but
for
is it
us.
good? Is it best for the party, for the country, for the American people if he has Twitter back? I don't know. And then there's also the possible contractual issues that come up as a result of Truth Social. I don't know what those are, but they could be there.
I can't imagine that they gave him hundreds of millions of dollars potentially in equity in that company without restricting him contractually to being able to go back to Twitter.